Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining in again today. This is Will I Ever Be Happy? Finding Joy Amid Depression and Anxiety. And today's special guest is a spiritual life coach, a two-time best-selling author, host of Hope Rising podcast, former co-host of Getting the Word Out, and next book coming out is Your Butt is Too Big. Please welcome Mr. Maurice F. Martin.
Thank you
How
so
are you
much for
today?
having me. I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, thank you for being here. I'm honored. I'm very excited for this interview and for the audience to learn more about you, your techniques, your vision, and how they can, benefit in any way from it. So without further ado, please, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background. And
Sure, absolutely. So, my name is Maurice F. Martin. As she said, I'm an author, a life coach, a speaker, and more than anything, what will probably matter the most to you all is that I'm a person who's battled a lot of things. I've battled depression, I've battled anxiety, and I've battled just not feeling good enough. And so, for my journey actually kind of begins in my childhood. I grew up in a home where there was some domestic violence, there was verbal and physical abuse. But that's not what we called it. We just called it love and we called it tough moments, right?
mhm.
And so I remember being a 19-year-old and I was in college, my first year in school, and I remember I went to the therapist because I was angry, I was frustrated, I was stressed, and I didn't really know why. And I remember that I was a few weeks into my therapy sessions, and the therapist stops me at one point and simply says, Maurice, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. She said, when you talk about your childhood and you talk about your life, you use words like love and discipline, but I keep hearing you tell stories of abuse. Why is it that you never call it what it is? And I realized in that moment that I had never known that that's what I dealt with. And I wish I could say that that conversation, 19 years old, my life changed and I dealt with my problems and I dealt with my stress and I dealt with my anxiety, but that's not true. I was 19, and by the time I was 32, I was suicidal and unhappy and miserable. And in between, I had had a successful music career, played music with Emmy winners and Grammy winners, and just did all kinds of amazing things. And none of those things made me happy. None of those things gave me joy. And so from that moment, which was 2016, that's when I was 32, that's when I had kind of my life-changing transformation. I realized that not only was I here to find happiness, but that I was here to spread happiness and to help people find hope and to find the true meaning of their lives and their life purpose. And so that's why I'm here today, is to spread that love and spread that joy and hopefully help people find who they really are meant to find and the happiness that is found in that.
Wow, those are very powerful words. And right along the line that we're going, I like how you stress the positive and not the negative.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
interesting. So that's how you got into this field. And
Hmm.
feel free to tell us a little bit about your podcast, your
Sure, absolutely.
your
So my
endeavors.
podcast is called Hope Rising, and it's literally a podcast where I bring on people who have overcome adversity, they've overcome uncertainty, and they've found ways to really find joy and peace and accomplish great things. And so in my first season, this is actually my first season, it just started. And so
Congratulations.
thank you so much. I've got celebrity chefs, I've got Olympians, I've got a couple people who represent different sports teams. One of them from the Seattle Seahawks, one of them from the Cleveland Browns.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
nice
they're
lineup.
announcers that are from those teams, and so then there's other people as well, some TV show hosts and other things from smaller shows and things. And so the entire point of Hope Rising is that a lot of times when you listen to podcasts or you watch interviews, you hear people tell a story and it's kind of like, well, I had some tough moments, but then I overcame my moments and now here I am, world. Well, the truth is that even in the midst of the good moments, people struggle.
Mhm.
Okay? That even when you've accomplished something great, you still cry tears sometimes. You still feel frustrated. You still doubt yourself and question yourself. And so my questions that I really take my people in my interviews through is, what is it really like to be you? Will you let us be behind the mask a little bit so that they can see, that every listener can see, just like what we're trying to show today, Everybody struggles. Everybody questions,
We're
but
human.
everybody also has the potential to grow past it. And that's the key.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So congratulations on that. I hope I'm sure it'll be a great success.
Thank you.
And tell us a little bit. I know that your main focus is on helping people get over their limiting beliefs about themselves.
Hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what we have to acknowledge is that everybody has a past, and every past has a story. In other words, when you live life, right, you and I have both gone through our own experiences. We've met people, we've had disappointments, heartbreaks, triumphs, great times, great moments. We have a story. And there's not just the facts of the story, but it's the interpretation of what you believe because of your story. Okay. And so one of the most important things that I help people with is to understand there's more than one way to see life. I remember moments in my life, especially in my 20s, when I was succeeding but also frustrated, when I was winning but feeling worthless. In those moments, my story that I believed was I'll always get far enough but never far enough.
Hmm.
I'll get far, but only so far. I'm always going to hit a ceiling. I'm always going to find a way to self sabotage. I'm always going to find a way to screw things up. People are always going to come again. And there was all this negative self talk. And so, what would happen is, as things were going well, I would kind of go, well, I'm happy that that went well, but just wait till the other foot drops. So, I didn't really celebrate successes. I was
Hmm.
very rarely present in the moment, actually enjoying the things I was doing. I can remember standing on stage in front of 5,000 people, not enjoying myself. I can remember this very well. Performing well, singing the right notes, singing in tune, but worried about is the merchandise table strong enough right now? And man, we
Hmm.
should have got those extra shirts. And I don't know if and my mind racing in all the wrong places. And then afterwards, you have to get a drink or two or find a woman or two to help you feel better because of all the things that you didn't find within yourself. And so now, what it is that I do is I help people. I ask the question, and this is what I would ask for everyone who's watching today. What is the story you believe about you? Do you believe that you're a winner? Do you believe you're a loser? Do you believe you're destined to always be miserable? Do you believe that you're destined for greatness? What do you believe about you? Because whatever you believe, you become. And so if you believe that you'll always be angry, frustrated, annoyed, heartbroken, you'll find a way there. But if you believe you're meant to overcome, what happens is every rough moment becomes a lesson learned that drives you towards your destiny. Hey, this was a rough day, but I learned some things about me. And because I learned some things about me, I can live the life I was born to live. I can be a better mother tomorrow. I can be a better husband tomorrow because I learned today. Today doesn't define me, but it is refining me. I'll say it that way. Today doesn't have to define me. My worst moment,
Defining. I like that. I'm
right?
sorry.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to
Define
define
you. You
me,
can
but it can
refine you.
refine me.
I
It
love
can make
that.
me a
Yeah.
little bit better and a little bit more sharp, right? And so I think that it's all about understanding our story and then also understanding how if we believe a positive story, even the bad moments are catalysts to the successful ending.
Wow. That is a major I guess mind shift,
Mhm.
in just woe is me and poor me.
Yes, exactly.
That's
Well,
a that's a it's a jump from woe is me to wow, this is a great lesson I learned today.
that's it. And those are decisions. Those are decisions. So in other words, it's as simple as saying sometimes you'll sit down for a coaching session and a client goes, "Oh, everything's been horrible." And I say, "Okay, so what do you see when you look at all the horrible things?" And they say, "Well, I see that I feel set up to fail and everything's been bad and nothing's working out." And I say, "No, what else do you see?" And they go, "Oh, you want me to keep talking about all the negatives?" So they say some more negative stuff. And you say, "So what else do you see?" And at some point, a person goes, I see that I'm still alive. It didn't kill me. I see that I probably can avoid some of those pitfalls and some of those mistakes. I see that maybe and all of a sudden, lessons. And anytime you take lessons and you put them into action, you get wisdom. right? And
Mm.
what I want to be is a wise version of me living my life. And ultimately, here's the key. That's what takes me to happiness. Because in a moment that's frustrating, if I'm in a negative place, I'll think, oh my gosh, here we go again. Another bad moment, and it sucks my joy away. But if I sit in a moment and it's not quite perfect, I can start asking myself, what is good that's in this moment? What am I learning in this moment? Where is the joy in this moment? Because it's somewhere. And if I was looking for it out there, maybe I need to stop and I need to find it in here. So there's these lessons to grow and become more mature and more wise moment to moment. And that's not woo woo. You know what I mean? Like some people are like, "Oh, that's just so spacey." That's not spacey. It's your thoughts. Will you pay attention to your thoughts and challenge them? It's very cognitive. It's called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, right? The whole point of CBT is understanding that your thoughts lead you to behaviors and actions. And so if you pay attention to your thoughts, they're directly tied to all of your cycles of life. If I work on my thought life, my behaviors, my actions, my patterns, my habits, they change. And I've got to make sure that I'm looking for the good and for the positive and for the lessons.
Every moment. Those are very profound words.
Mm.
And I think that's the new, well, that's what I think and I believe and I hope that that's the new wave of the future is trying to be present in that moment. And
Mm.
of course, you added the extra and not just be in the moment, find the goodness in the moment or the
That's right.
lesson in the moment. In other
That's
words,
it.
find something positive, even if it was something negative that happened. I believe that's what you're trying to say.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh,
Well, I think you nailed it on the head though. And I don't care how many speakers speak. If every single person tells them that they need to be present in the moment, they can't hear it too many times.
Correct.
All of your power is now. All of your potential is right now in this moment. And what happens is we get lost. Either we get stuck in the future. We're thinking about what could be, what might be, what ought to be, what should be, or I'm thinking about my past.
Mhm,
Anytime I get stuck in my past, it's going to lead me to a depressing place,
mhm,
feeling imprisoned and stuck in those moments. Anytime I go running into the future, I end up feeling anxious and
mhm,
anxiety starts to form. Well, the place where I have peace is now. Because even if I'm up against tough times, all of my strength to handle those tough times is in this moment. For the people who are spiritual, you can even make the mistake of having too much faith for the future. Here's what I mean. In my new book, Your Butt is Too Big, one thing that I talk about is this. It's a simple concept, right?
and then you have to explain the title for the audience
Oh
because I
yeah.
know it, but
She's
they may
they
not
said
know.
what did he say? Yeah, I promise I'll circle back. So here
Okay.
it's a simple concept. If I'm always having faith saying, "Oh, I have faith and I believe that someday something's going to get better." I'll miss the moment right now of saying, I have faith that in this moment, I am being prepared to be the version of me that I need to be to get the blessing of the future. Right? Sometimes you haven't evolved into what you need because you still have to grow, you still have to mature, you still have to learn, and your character may not be developed enough to experience your hopes and dreams. You'd get them, but you'd waste them. You'd get them, but you'd
Mm,
lose them. And so sometimes we have to take advantage of the moment we're in to say, I won't just be blessed over there, I'm blessed now. I don't just need faith over there, I need faith for now to believe that I'm right where I'm supposed to be,
mhm,
learning all the things I'm supposed to learn, growing in
mhm.
all of the ways that I'm supposed to learn right here and now. And I think that that's one of the greatest, most critical lessons we can learn.
That is, yes, that seems to be the foundation
Mhm.
of helping ourselves out of like you said, depression, which is
Mhm.
looking at our past, and the anxiety, which is being worried about the future.
Mhm.
And I think, I'm sure all of us, listening to you right now have heard that in some way, shape, or form at
Mhm.
some point in their life. But
Hmm.
like you said, now there's going to be probably a good amount, if not all, of the speakers telling us all the same thing, maybe
Hmm.
different techniques, different methods, different angles of looking at it. But I think the big message so far has been, live in the moment,
That's it.
live in the moment. And,
Hmm.
everyone has their own way of dealing with, their moment. But like you said, if you're not in it, if you're over there or over there, you won't know that you need to deal with it, or how to go about uh, dealing with it.
Well, you
So,
know what, Monica? I think they also need to hear this, that you can't just live in the moment. Living in the moment is the starting point, right?
mhm.
So once I live in the moment, I must lean into the moment. And
Ooh,
and
okay.
right? So think about it this way. So for some of the people who are listening, they say, "Look, I'm always stuck in my future. I'm always stuck in my past. My head is always somewhere." Right? And so I'm never really quite present. I'm sitting at my kid's softball game and I'm thinking about everything but the game. I'm having a
Mhm.
conversation with my spouse, but I'm never really locked into the conversation. Well, for that person, step
I'm
one
gonna make sure
is
he listens to this. I'm sorry. I couldn't
okay,
help it.
so
Turn to
so
this.
let's
Sorry, go
let's
ahead.
fictitiously talk to him, right? So what I would say to him if he sat down with me as a client is the first thing I would say is, look, the beginning of the journey is be here, be where, here, now, when, now, here, always, right? Because if I'm always thinking about tomorrow, what I need to understand is, well, tomorrow I'll be more focused, but tomorrow will be today. By the time tomorrow comes, it's today. So if today I'm always present, that's the beginning, right? It's the beginning of the journey. So it's good to be in the moment, listening, watching, looking, feeling, sensing now. That's good. But it's the beginning. Now I have to lean into the moment, which means this. After I make an observation in this moment, I have to do something with it.
Okay.
So if I notice I'm sitting in a room and I go, "Oh, my wife is off. My wife is not happy. My kids are acting a little funny." I'm present enough to catch it. Now, will I lean into the moment? Will I say, "Sweetheart, we haven't really talked that much lately," or it's all been drive-by conversations. How are you? Hey, son. We haven't really talked too much lately. How are you doing? I'm good. I'm good, Dad. Okay, slow down for a second, son. Let's really talk, because I noticed something. Lean into the moment. Now
Moment.
that I don't care if you're talking as an entrepreneur and you're talking about your employees. I don't care if you're talking about you find yourself feeling something off. You're paying attention to what's inside of you and you're going, huh, I sure am not feeling very happy today. Lean in. Why? What can I learn in this moment? Because whatever I learn, I can then lend my time to working on. If I'm unhappy, I should do something about my unhappiness. And I know later on, we'll talk a little bit about tips and things, right? But literally, if I'm not happy, if I don't change anything, I'll remain unhappy. But if I notice I'm unhappy, I can begin to lean into that moment and work on that moment to work out of that place. And that's always going to be the key. I don't care if it's interpersonally or just personally within yourself.
Right. Wow. That's great. So I hope everyone listening right now is in the moment. And feel free now to explain a little bit about your title of your book.
So
So I
my
don't get
book,
hate mail.
no hate mail. Don't send her any hate mail. Just send it to me. But don't send it to me either. So my book is called Your Butt. That's BUT. Your butt is too big. And the entire premise is very simple. How many times have you said, "Well, I would have already been working on this," but you need to understand that. Well, I would have already been processing that, but it's just that we have a way of having reasons and rationales
Mhm.
that stand in between where we are today and the destiny we wish for ourselves. And I can't tell you how many times in the last several years of my life that I've heard people say, "I want to be sober. I want to be happy. I want to have a good marriage. I want to be a good mother or a good father. I want to build the business that I really want. I want to go preach. I want to go teach. I want to go." And whenever you say, "Well, why aren't you doing it?" there's a million things that stand in as an answer, and it's generally not because I tried and it didn't work. It's usually, well, I'm really busy. Well, do you find time to do X, Y, and Z? Well, yeah, I do. It's just that you do it for everybody else.
Mhm.
And so this is directly tied to our limiting beliefs. This is what I've learned and I've come to understand. When you find yourself saying, well, I would have already lost that weight. It's really important to me and I would have already lost it. But
Correct.
I started working out and you know, and I got stressed and it was just hard and blah, 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 and it starts to come out. Here's the deal. You're learning the effects that past disappointments are having on your present moment. Right?
Mhm.
You've had a whole bunch of times in your life where you started something and you couldn't stick with it and it made you feel a certain type of way and you had low self-esteem and low self-worth and low value and guilt and shame and all these things. And so all of your past disappointments are stacking up against you this one time. So the key is that once I identify the effects of my limiting beliefs and the effects of those experiences, here's the real key. I heal those past moments. I start saying things like, well, how come the fact that I went to the gym a couple of times and then I stopped, why did that take me to such a low place? Once I missed the gym, why did I start beating myself up so much? What is my relationship with missing something? What is my relationship with why do I go to such a negative place or such a low place? Whoa, there's a reason for it. It's because there's some times in your life when it was real important and you didn't have the reaction that you wanted and you let you down and you let some other people down and you never really got through it and you never really got over it, and the remnant of that sticks with you everywhere you go. Sometimes, have you ever had this moment? Let me give it a totally different example. Hopefully somebody will get it this on this one. You're
Oh, I
sitting in a
think we're
room.
getting it. I
Ah,
think
she
I'm in a
said
therapy session.
she said we're getting it right now. I think in my
But I can't speak for everyone, but it's definitely hitting home for me. Go ahead, continue, please.
it's funny because it's like in my brain I'm looking at all the people, right? And I know that sometimes you tell the first thing and some people are like still not with you and other people are going like this. So here's another example. You're sitting we were just talking about your spouse. So he is watching today and you and him are in the kitchen together, right? And he, I don't know, he leaves the cabinet drawer open or something
Again.
random happens, right? And you go, oh my gosh, why aren't you just closing the cabinet? And he's like, whoa, you're overreacting a little bit, aren't you? And you kind of catch yourself going, huh, I am overreacting a little bit, aren't I? Here's the deal. You're not just reacting to that moment. You're reacting to every other moment that triggered for you in that moment. And there's all these moments that you haven't all the way processed and you haven't all the way healed from and you haven't all the way worked through. And so now in this moment, this cabinet door wide open is a symbol for all of the life problems that are wide open. You see that? And so the key is sometimes my wife and I have to sit down and go, so what's really going on? Right? And those are uncomfortable conversations and stressful conversations,
Oh,
but
I
they
bet she
must be
loves you're a
had.
therapist.
But those are
Here
the
we go again. No, I'm just kidding.
no, because we've learned to bring them to each other. Because sometimes it's me overreacting, right? Because I'm a far from perfect human, and so one of the best things that my wife ever says, and I hope this really helps somebody today. Sometimes my wife will say, "Baby, who was that? Because that wasn't you."
Ooh.
What do you mean? I'm upset because of right now. And she goes, no, you kind of seemed like an angry 16-year-old there. And sometimes your emotional reactions and interactions are cues that are coming from a version of you who learned defend yourself at all cost. They
Mm.
come from a version of you who got picked on, who got pushed aside, who got scarred at an earlier age, who got wounded at an earlier age. And so now your spouse, your employee, your coworker, whoever, they're not just sitting in front of the grown version of you. It's the
Mm.
grown version of you and some of the other versions of yous
Mm.
that were stifled in the past. And so the greatest thing here's what I really do, not only in my book, Your Butt is Too Big. What I do is I walk you through this and in real life, okay? I say, what is the problem you've been having? Well, I've been afraid. I've been too scared to do the things I want to do. I've been too depressed. I've been too unhappy. And we say, so why are you depressed? And they go, well, in the last year of my life, blah, 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 blah. And I always say, and what does that remind you of? What do you mean? It's just that my last year, I had this and I had that and I had this. I promise you, your unhappiness is tied to something else. It's always tied to something else. And so what I need to do is I need to follow that path. And I need to figure out, what is this triggering for me? There's moments where I had two brothers. Both of my brothers passed away before they were 30 years old. There are moments where I get a little freaked out about my legacy. I start thinking about, oh, I got to accomplish more stuff, and I got to be in front of more people, and I got to, and at first I just seem like I'm a really driven individual, a really driven man. And sometimes I go, oh, sometimes I start worrying about my mortality because there's still mourning I need to do about the people who I've seen die before they got even to this age. It's tied to something. Sometimes the reason that I go, oh, I got to get this done and I got to accomplish this and I got to work on this is because when I was a kid, I always heard what I'd never accomplish and what I would never do. And my negative self-talk says, see, you're still no good at this. You won't be any good at it unless you accomplish so-and-so. It won't mean anything to you unless you accomplish so-and-so. And my brain tries to tell me that I can't be happy now. I'll only be happy then. And I need to know that some of that's coming from the stuff in my childhood that I need to continue healing from. Some of that's coming from knowing my mortality based on the immortality I've seen or the mortality I've seen in others. And some of it is me just needing to learn how to embrace this moment that I'm in. This is a perfect moment. Right now, I have healthy babies in the next room. I have a beautiful wife in the next room. And you and I are making a difference. This is a beautiful moment. I don't need anything else right now.
Another day in paradise.
Another day in paradise. And you have great wallpaper. And
Oh, thank you.
And you have great wallpaper, right? And so like if I only did this interview so I could have my day blessed by the wallpaper, I'm okay with it.
Thank you. It was Amazon and it was like, I don't know, 20 bucks a panel or something, but thanks. A little Elmer's glue, but I appreciate it. And I'm glad it brightened your day.
It did. Well, all of it, including the different colors of the drawers. Can you guys tell that I'm actually present? The different colored drawers, and then how there's the different contrasting greens here going on. I'm loving the vibe of this whole thing. I'm really here in this moment. I'm not just giving like a canned spiel. I've never said some of the things I've said today ever before when speaking.
Wow, I feel honored. We all do. Thank you.
But I never say the same thing twice because
it comes from the heart and it comes from the moment. You're leaning into the moment.
Yes. And that's my thing. See, when I said the thing about they walk up to the cabinet, but this is really the cabinet full of all the things that haven't been processed, I was like, yo, that was awesome. That's really what I thought to myself because I've never said it before. Somebody was probably watching like, he gives that example every time he speaks. No, he doesn't, right? So I get excited. And if you want to talk about really getting to a place of joy, if that's what we're talking about today, you get to joy by experiencing the fullness of the moment you're in. If there's nothing,
you could wrap this whole thing up in one sentence, right? That's what you would say.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
Wow. I mean, there's more to it, but that's the foundation. Absolutely.
That's the foundation, right? There's layers and there's levels. But if you want to get to the basic core of it, that's it. It's finding the most of finding the value. It's finding the intrinsic things that are already there in this moment and then building off of them and searching for more and growing through the bad stuff. It's a lot, but it's also simple in some ways.
Right. It's like the, the one rule, the golden rule, and then everything else can be explained under that, but that's like the umbrella. And so your umbrella is live in the moment. I love that. So do you still perform? Because you said when you were out there performing, doing a good show and everybody was having fun except you because you were anxious or thinking about other things. Did you get over that while you were still performing? Are you still performing?
The answer is no.
You left that part of your life.
I still play music sometimes. So there's my keyboard. Right about now, I actually have a little home studio. So I end up recording, and I actually haven't made any music at this point in about 9 months. But I try to I write therapeutic, like spiritual music, music that you can sit and meditate and pray to and things like that. So I write, and sometimes I perform at churches. I don't do it all the time, but sometimes I do. I'll perform it up as a part of a church service. The majority of the singing that I do is for my babies at bedtime. At this point in
Oh,
my life,
how old are they?
I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old who will be 2 in September.
Oh, I'm sure they must love your songs and your just your parenting skills, because I'm sure it all ties in with leaning into your moments. So
It
they must
does.
love their moments,
It does.
and they're
And
learning a very powerful lesson at a very young age, and
yes,
that's a blessing.
yes. And the greatest lesson they learn, I want to set somebody free that's out there today, right? The greatest lesson that they learn is not the perfection of dad's presence. Is watching dad get his presence back. It's not that every time they see me I'm there. It's when they see me in a moment and I'm like all over the place and my brain is somewhere, and then my daughter's going, daddy, 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 daddy. You guys know that moment, right? And you're just gone, and daddy, daddy, and you go, what? And they go, I've been trying to get your attention for 2 minutes. And you take a breath. I'm sorry, sweetheart. And you look her in the eyes and you make sure you see the color in her eyes. That's the Do I see the details here? And you go, I'm sorry, sweetheart. What can I do for you? And you listen. And then you end up in a moment of laughter or a moment of whatever it is that comes. I think that that's the greatest lesson. It's not that I'm perfect. It's that they walk me battle through, and they watch my wife do the same thing. We work on it actively. Ooh, I haven't been here for the last couple hours. I have to bring it back. There is no perfection in this process. It's about letting the process perfect you that matters the most.
Ooh, wow, you're just a chock full of amazing analogies. Or that's probably not the right description, but so it's not about perfecting the moment, it's letting the moment perfect you.
Yes. Yes.
Wow, I love
Yeah, because
that.
we're all gonna get it wrong. We're all humans. We're not robots. And when you are a robot, everybody suffers, by the way. Right? If when you're the robotic version of you that gets it done because you have to, you usually do it all without joy and without peace. That's actually why several other people who signed up for this summit signed up. I'm sure. It's not because they're not functional and they don't get things done. It's because they get it all done without joy. They're robotic in it all. So the greatest thing that you can do is let go of being a perfect robot and be a human who gets perfected by the moments.
Oh, wow. Is that a bumper sticker? Can we make one?
Hey, we can make one.
I love that. You don't have to be perfect in the moment. Let the no, how was it
You
again? It
don't
was so
don't have to be
perfect. I
perfect in the
forgot.
moment. You can let the moment perfect you.
Perfect you. Yes, absolutely. Bumper stickers. Here we come. Okay, so all of this sounds amazing. Can you give the audience some maybe quick tips or tools that they could do at home
Sure,
when they're going
absolutely.
through a moment of panic or of not being present in the moment?
Mhm.
Give us a
Sure. Step number one, breathe. You're going to hear this. Person after person after person is going to tell you need to breathe. Why? Because when you take in a breath, there's something that it does to center you, to bring you back to the moment that you're in. I'm a spiritual guy. So when I breathe, I like to breathe and on the inside say thank you. I do a deep breath and a thank you in here. Why? Didn't I just tell you I have people that I've loved who don't get to take those breaths anymore? This is a special moment that I have. So I breathe, and me personally, I say thank you. And then the greatest thing you can do is remind yourself of the room you're in. Touch your chair. I got a leather chair I'm in. It's white. I looked at it. I reminded myself. I felt it. It's a little bit cold. You're holding your coffee mug. You've been holding it for so long. Did you forget about it? Let yourself
Yes.
touch your mug, right? 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 We get stuck in the moment. And so it's you practice mindfulness, right? Look around. What do you smell? What do you sense? What do you see? When you start doing all those sensory things, you'll find yourself in this moment. Now, here's the most incredible part, the most important part. Now look inside. Are you okay? See, a lot of people, we take the time to get really present, and then we look at the other people and we go, are they okay? Because it's a lot easier to play super mom or super dad or super husband or super wife. That's easier than learning how to love yourself. And
Mhm.
so when you get present, before you go take care of them, take care of you. Are you okay? And okay is not, well, I'm miserable, but it's passable. I'm used to it. I mean, are you okay? Do you have peace or are you feeling anxiety? Are you happy or are you feeling terrified or miserable or frustrated or scared? And whatever you're feeling, why are you feeling it? Do you know? Can you acknowledge it? Now, if you find something and you go, well, what I'm feeling is something bad, you're going to have to do something with that.
Okay.
Talk about it. Write, go to a journal, write something about it. Go to your next therapist session, talk about it. Go to a coach, get it off your chest. Once you've worked it out, the best thing to do is you by yourself, right? Write it down. Are you a person of
Mhm.
prayer? Give it to your higher power in prayer, right?
Okay.
Now, can you find the positive in the moment? So
Okay.
you got to the moment by practicing mindfulness. You took a couple deep breaths. You paid attention to the desk in front of you and the chair underneath you, and you realized, I'm here, I'm alive, it's stressful, but here I am. You took some more deep breaths and said, Self, how are you today? And self came back and said, I'm feeling anxious,
Mm,
I'm feeling stressed, I'm not feeling okay. Your initial reaction is, let me go talk to somebody else and make them feel better. Then I'll feel better because I helped them feel better. Stop.
mm.
Slow down. Figure out what you're feeling and process it. Either process it by praying about it, by writing it down in a journal, go for a walk and get it off your chest. Do what you got to do, and then
Mhm.
find the good in the moment. Because every moment has good and bad in it. The moment itself is neutral.
Wow. Right.
But Maurice, there's some moments in my life that didn't have any good in them, but you're not there. And so now that you're here, you can even learn from your darkest moments. There's nothing that can ever make it okay that I lost my baby brother when he was 25. Nothing ever makes that okay. Nothing ever makes it okay the abuse that I went through when I was a little kid. Nothing makes that stuff okay. But when I bring up my brother while I'm trying to change people's lives, it speaks to my meaning and my purpose and my value in my life today. When I realize that somebody's unhappy like I used to be, it speaks to my value and my purpose and my meaning in this moment. Nothing is wasted. Even the heartbreak can be used for something. And I just got to tell everybody, let even the bad moments in your life be used to be a blessing for somebody else's. But make sure you start by you getting the blessing, by you getting the healing, by you getting the growth. It's got to be you first. And then pour from a cup that's full into the people you love.
Wow. That is a great lesson to learn and something that we could all apply at
Mm-hmm.
home. So take a deep breath,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge where you are, the
Mm-hmm.
things around you.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not a good answer, figure out why you feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Even if it's a good answer, you may need to figure out why it's that way. You know why I say that? Some of us are good at being fake. I'm good today. Are you really? I mean, mostly. What's that mean? I mean the stuff that's not good I'm used to. So what's the stuff that's not good? Sometimes you got to ask yourself even more questions when you're saying you're good. Because think about our normal lives. We are actually kind of like pre-programmed to either tell everybody you're okay or tell everybody you're miserable.
Mhm.
Think about going to a workplace or going to the mall. Most of the people you go, how you good? Some of them go, blessed and highly favored every day, no matter what's happening in their life. They're just blessed
Right?
every day, if you say so. Some people, they're just like, everything's good, everything's good, everything's good. I know your business. You're not good, but they always say they're good. Then there's some people, every time you see them, you go, how you doing? They go, well, it's another day. They're Eeyore.
Uh-huh.
Remember Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh?
Yes, yes.
Hey Pooh, they're Eeyore no matter what happens. So, so even if you say, self, let me ask you a question. How am I? How are we? How are you? You still may have to ask some follow-up questions. That's why I personally love the concept of journaling. I try to convince all of my clients to journal. I'm not the journaling kind of person, so you're not the type of person who wants to know what you're really thinking and to look at it and acknowledge it. Well, that's not what I mean. Oh, okay. And so even if you take your cell phone and you pull out your cell phone and you turn on your voice memo and you say, I just need to talk about what I'm feeling right now, and say everything you're feeling and hit play and listen to yourself. You'll
Right,
be like, ooh, I don't like that I said that. Oh, I
right.
didn't even know I was unhappy about that. So,
Wow.
so processing those emotions, even if you think you're okay, you may need
If
to
you
still
think you're
question it
okay.
just to make sure it's
That's
real.
awesome.
Sometimes you say, are you sure? Are you positive? Are you really positive? Are you really sure? Are you positive? And you go, yeah, I really am. Now you'll have even more gratitude in your heart that you actually were happy in a moment.
That's awesome. I love that.
Hmm.
So journaling, yes. Journaling is very uh, recommended,
Hmm.
for the most part. So there is definitely a truth to that. I have to remember to get back into it. So Maurice, can you tell the audience what free gift they're getting today?
Sure. So hopefully you felt like today blessed you, that today challenged you. Maybe I made you think a little bit, and you were thinking to yourself, I wonder what it would be like if I sat down with this guy. I told him about my life, and I wonder how much he could help me. Well, you can find out. So normally what I do is just 30 minutes that I offer. Normally, I give 30 minutes of a free consultation with a person if you go to my website. But because everybody came here and was a part of this, you actually can sit down with me for an hour. I will do an hour session with you if you sign up through this summit. And it's not going to be an hour of me selling you something. It'll be an hour of me actually coaching you. So we'll talk about your situation, your goals, your dreams, your hopes, whatever it is that's your big focus. And I'm going to be concentrating on making sure that we have some type of a profound moment, some type of a breakthrough, some kind of an identification. Realistically, I'm going to try my very best to help. And so if today, if you were like, man, I feel like he's speaking to me, then I would love to actually speak with you. And you don't have to pay for it. Just because you invested in yourself to be a part of this summit, we're going to invest back into you, and we're going to have a free session with you.
That is very, very generous, very generous of your time and your heart. And so let me put into the chat, unless you want to do it, and let people know how they can. I'm sorry, I have two screens, so I'm like looking at both of them. Would you like to go ahead and type the information on how they can reach you?
Yes. So hold on just a moment. Let me go to my chat. So I guess there's a couple different ways we can do it. Okay, so one of the ways we can do it, I just typed my email address into the chat, so hopefully everybody sees that. So one thing you can do is you can email me and you can say, Maurice, I just heard you speak. It just touched my life. I'm mad at you because you made me realize my butt was too big, and now and now I want to do something about it. And so when you do that, I'll send you a scheduling link. And then what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to try to do this as quickly as physically possible, which I think I can pull off. Um, I'm going to actually grab a scheduling link as well, and I will just paste the scheduling link also into the chat. So if somebody wants to click from it directly,
Oh,
you are able to do that.
perfect.
So
Wow.
hopefully that will work. Does that sound good? I feel like that's a decent thing. Normally for an
That
hour
is
session, I
amazing.
would normally charge $200 for an hour session if you just want to do it one
Wow. I
time.
hope
So
everyone's listening to this very, very generous gift. A $200 session for free
for free.
with this amazing coach and best-selling author.
You know what? I don't even want to say it that way. I don't even like that because it's not because of how great I am. It's because this individual, those individuals invested in themselves. They're taking a chance on themselves. They said, "I need more for my life. I need joy, I need peace, I need happiness. I'm going to show up for myself today." This is simply a payback for their investment. It's not because of how great I am, but it's because of how dedicated they decided to be.
Wow, thank you so much.
Mhm.
And would you like to tell them a little bit more about any of your upcoming events, or maybe put in your podcast also in the chat for them, so they can follow you there?
Sure. So, first of all, I will type in, if you want to find me on social media, which I hope you do, go find me at Maurice F. Martin. I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. If you look there, you'll find me. So, subscribe to my YouTube channel, find me on Instagram. If you add me today, I will add you back. That's one of those that I will actually add you. And if you DM me, I'll actually talk to you. I'm actually pretty friendly. Actually, I don't know if I'm friendly. I don't know if that's a real fit. I don't know if I'm actually a friendly human because I'm so honest. Some people don't think I'm friendly. That's a whole other conversation. But I'm friendly in that I'll
Consider
be
friendly,
nice.
but it's something a friend should do.
Yes, exactly. I only said that because I did a presentation the other day and one of my friends was presenting with me and he said Maurice isn't a very nice person, but he will change your life. And I was like, what did he say? And everybody looked at me like crazy and he was like, well, what I mean is he's the person who shoots it straight when everybody else tells you nice things. And I was like, okay.
That's
So
great.
so
But can I
it,
say something? So is he.
that's true. That you know what? But I think he knows that about himself too, so that's true. So at Maurice F. Martin, please, please, please go find me on social media. And then you see also the name of my podcast, Hope Rising with Maurice F. Martin. You can either go and watch on YouTube or you can listen wherever you find podcasts.
That's great. And where can we get our butt is too big?
If you now feel convicted that possibly your butt is too big, you can go to mauricefmartin.com, or of course you can go to Amazon. But if you go through mauricefmartin.com, I think there's a place where you can leave a little comment. So if you leave a comment, you can even say, "Hey Maurice, would you please autograph it?" And we'll do that for you. So if you go through my
Wow.
website, they actually come from out of my house, or go to Amazon, buy my book. I will tell you the book is a very deep book. It's not the book that you pick up and you read straight through. It's you read it, you process it, you do some work with it, and then eventually you pick it back up. It's that type of book. But I literally had, I'm 39. I had somebody message me this week, and she said, Maurice, I haven't talked to you since high school. But my family has been going through a very tough time. You've not only been getting myself personally through the pain and the sorrow, but you've been doing the same for my 14-year-old daughter, and I wanted to say thank you. And so it's the type of book that if you're going through transition, you're going through tough times, you're doubting yourself, you're frustrated, whatever it might be, is the type of book that speaks hope, it speaks life, and it lets you know that you don't have to be stuck where you are.
Wow, that's great. I think we should all run out and buy that book right now. And is there any last words you would like to share before we close off?
Mm. If there is a cabinet in your life full of heartbreaks, disappointments, and unhappiness, look into the cabinet. Remind all the things in the cabinet they do not define you, that they do not own you, and they will no longer imprison you. Then you find a way to start working on shutting that cabinet after you clean up everything that's on the inside so that you have peace. And thank you
That is
guys
a
so much for
mic
having
drop.
me.
Thank
Thank you for
you,
having me. I really
thank you
appreciate it.
so much for your time, for your generosity, for your wisdom. And I can't wait till everybody hears this and gives back some feedback on this. And I really hope that this touched a lot of hearts. And I hope it empowered them to lean into the moment and to take advantage of this free, coaching call,
Mhm.
valued at $200. So thank you again. And I wish you all the success of the world. And I'm definitely gonna hop in and start following you in all your social medias. Thank
Thank
you
you so
very
much.
much.
You're welcome, and thanks for doing what you're doing. You're going to make a difference.
Oh, I really hope so. It's something near and dear to me. So I hope so. Thank you very much.
You're so
And
welcome.
everyone have a wonderful day. Stay happy.